I have a few questions for you, and each of these questions will be given 5 seconds to answer. The first question: what would have the education sector be if the COVID-19 pandemic never existed? And the second question: would you prefer to return to the pre-pandemic era where the education was still carried out conventionally, or would you prefer not to? Have you tried hard to get the answers to these questions? Well, actually, you don't have to think that hard to get the answers to these questions, because the COVID-19 pandemic has changed education forever, where the impact of the pandemic caused 150 countries to fully close their schools in March 2020 to implement distance learning as quickly as possible. Based on these facts, there is no returning point to the pre-pandemic era, since there have been numerous impacts on the students, especially in the developing countries, due to the pandemic. Therefore, we must plan more for the future, as it will be beneficial to develop the nation's education rather than trying to assume different situations that could have happened if the COVID-19 did not exist. If you are one of those people who choose to participate in taking advantage of the COVID-19 situation, then the key to creating a revolutionary change is blended learning. Regarding the fact that many students out there are experiencing difficulties either because of taking online classes or offline classes. As you can see, this validates the need to prioritize blended learning, especially in the post-pandemic era. This leads us to the question: why do we need to maximize the potential of blended learning in the post-pandemic era, and how we, as a society, can implement blended learning? But first, I would like to introduce myself. Hello dear audience and judges, my name is Tjia. I'm from CN Senior High School, and today I'm going to talk about maximizing the potential of blended learning in the post-pandemic era. Some of you might wonder, what is blended learning? Based on the Cambridge Dictionary, blended learning is a way of learning that combines traditional classrooms with lessons that use computer technology and may be given over the internet. Then why do we need to maximize the potential of blended learning in the post-pandemic era? Offline learning enables students and teachers to interact directly with one another, which makes a good classroom communication, and teachers can pay equal attention to every student in the class. Meanwhile, online learning can be pictured as this story. A student named Pam suddenly has the flu. Since her condition isn't that severe, she is still able to participate on the learning process. But she can't do too much physical movements. Because of that, she did not attend school, to also avoid spreading her disease to others. This is where online learning takes a huge role on the education, where someone can take part on the learning process at any time and anywhere. On the other hand, those methods have their own disadvantages, where in face-to-face learning, students may lack the opportunity to learn in advancing technology, and the learning approach is strictly limited by time and space or place. While online learning feels very long, especially when students' responses become more passive when compared to face-to-face learning method, and social interactions become less prioritized. While according to sociology, humans need to form social interactions with other humans to meet the needs of one another. In this case, physical interaction is important in doing something, such as in learning. However, online learning does not provide students and teachers to directly interact or communicate, which resulted in distant relationships between them. This is where blended learning takes control. Blended learning consolidates the best of both traditional and digital methods by eliminating the disadvantages of those learning approaches to create an advanced and exciting learning method. By blended learning, students are able to explore and gain more information-related subjects, which is easy to be accessed at any time and anywhere through the usage of technology. The use of technology facilitates the expansion of wider access to high-quality education and provide the life learning skills that can be obtained from the combination of online and offline learning. And because of that, this increases the accessibility of students from the remote outer islands to post-secondary training programs. Not only that, students have the opportunity to test their abilities to utilize technology, as well as to evaluate the ability of technology to help humans, in where this will have an impact on the futures of the nations. With that, we as a society can fulfill and develop in the Industrial Revolution, also known as the Industry 4.0, which heavily focuses on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cognitive computers. Which, to make it happen, humans must excel in required skills such as analytical thinking, critical thinking, effective problem solving, familiarization with technology, and innovation. By using blended learning, students are required to learn how to use technology constantly, which causes them to indirectly improve skills in using technology. This will have an impact on the futures of the nation's generation, which will reduce the unemployment rates, which correlate with the nation's economic development. In connection to the numbers of companies in the 21st century that prefer to recruit employees who are familiar with technology. Sooner or later, the ability to use technology will be a requirement in various jobs. As a result, blended learning provides children more for their future life, especially in looking for jobs related to the many skills that can be obtained from the implementation of blended learning. This is the 21st century, not the 20th century, where tables and chairs were the only main facilities that students could have. The learning approaches is strictly limited by time and place, and the education was based off the need of employers in the industrial age of the 19th century. As either a woman or man who strives to make a revolutionary change in the education sector, including the learning approaches, the solutions that we can implement in our life by providing encouragement and digital campaigns about blended learning, so the people who participate in the education sector can be encouraged to try new and innovative learning approach. Also, the government must prioritize the school digitization program, either by facilitating the students with computers evenly. Lastly, what we can all do in this present time, which only takes 5 seconds of our time, is to change the primitive thinking to futuristic thinking, such as accepting the new normal to create a better future. In this case, increasing the potential of blended learning to happen in the post-pandemic era. So, will you join me and the others to maximize the potential of blended learning in the post-pandemic era, or would rather let the future of these nations become destroyed because of the undevelopment of education? That is all from me. Thank you very much for listening.